Alright guys, new video, long overdue. I haven't been making as much videos as I'd like, but I'm kind of okay with it at the moment. I make these videos just for fun, not doing it to be famous or gain followers or subscribers. I just do it when I come up with a good idea or I come across a product that's really good and I want to share that with you guys, because that's how the community grows. That's how people learn things. And that's what makes this industry exciting. So in this video, I just kind of want to discuss why being a mechanic is fun, or why I enjoy doing it for a career. So I'll roll the intro and then we'll get started. All right, so where do we start? When I was a kid, I grew up with a grandfather that worked at a Ford dealership, and I would tag along with him on the weekends, and he had a lot of friends in the shop. We would hang out. You know, my grandfather mainly spoke Spanish, so I didn't really know entirely what was being said, but all I knew is that they were working on stuff in the garage, in the shop, and it looked fun. I didn't know how an engine worked. All I knew is that you get this vehicle, it has a steering wheel, you turn it, and it goes. But something at that age drew me to being a mechanic. And I guess you could say it's my grandfather's influence. And it just took off from there. Hot Wheels. I had hundreds and hundreds of Hot Wheels, and I would set up little shops and act like the cars were going in and getting repairs. And then it took off from there and into high school, where a lot of my friends were a little older than I am, or I was at the time, and they would get their cars and hey, bring your car over to my house, let's freaking put an intake on it. And we would make an intake out of, like, you know, parts we'd find in the garage. And in our minds, we're thinking that we're boosting up horsepower and we're making these things faster. And looking back at it now, it's like pretty stupid, but it was fun. And still didn't really entirely know how things worked. We just did them, and it was fun. And then fast forward a few years later, got my first job working as a porter at a Honda dealership, and, you know, kind of shadowing a lot of the techs in the shop. Hey, what does this do? And what does that do? And, you know, kind of like that. And worked in parts department, got familiar with parts, looked at them, how they work, what do they do. And from there, unfortunately, I was laid off. This was during the recession time, and I had a lot of free time on my hands, and still really wanted to be in the shop, really wanted to be working on cars. I was doing everything on my own vehicle at the time. I was, you know, doing the oil changes and spark plugs and messing around with, you know, modified parts and whatnot, the legit modified parts at this time, not homemade shit. And, it kind of just went from there. Like, you know, had a bunch of free time, and, I was dating my wife at the time. She was my girlfriend back then, and she's like, you know what, you have this time, why don't you go to school and, you know, get some education to get into your career. And it kind of took off from there. Went to tech school, learned a lot. Despite what a lot of people say, tech school, you do learn a lot at a really, really fast pace. So yeah, and I decided to make the career change in that moment when deciding on which path to take, whether I'd go automotive or go diesel. Diesel is the way to go, in my opinion, because most of our goods and most services rely on diesel. All the food that gets delivered to your store, all the products that you buy, everything is delivered by truck. And not only by truck, but by train. You know, there's trains out there, electromotive diesel, and that was a solid career choice, and it definitely paid better than automotive. So I ended up going to trade school, learned a lot, and started working in the field as soon as I graduated. All right, so moving on, getting my feet wet in the industry. I started off working on concrete trucks and really had no idea what I was doing. I knew the basics, and definitely if you could show me something, I could catch on real quick. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. You know, that was all new. You're still learning the whole nuts and bolts thing. But fast forward from there, you know, I'm 11 years, going on 11 years doing this now, and it doesn't get old. The funny thing is that at first you're learning the mechanical part, and then you kind of just, you know, catch on with that, and everything's just nuts and bolts. You take it apart, put it together. You don't really know why you're doing it, and it's still fun because it's new to you at the time. But fast forward, and it doesn't get old. Some people, it gets old for them, and they are really good at doing the mechanical part, but they still don't know why. But I think that it's always a learning process, and now it's in the fun phase to where you're doing it because you want to figure out why something failed. Okay, so for example, you know, you get this engine, multiple misfire or whatever, and you're trying to figure out why. Why is it a multiple misfire? So you go through the troubleshooting steps, and you may do a leak down test, or you may do spark check, or this is compressed natural gas engine with spark plugs, but diesel, you know, you may do a compression check, or you may do a relative compression check or something, you know, along those lines. And finding out the root cause of what's causing the issue is what's fun and what keeps me going through this career. And once you figure out what's causing the failure, you have the mechanical skills to do the repair. And when you get done with the repair and you're successful on it, it's a great sense of accomplishment. It's almost like a reward. You know, you're working towards this reward and you're getting paid to do it. So a huge sense of accomplishment is the reason why I keep moving forward with doing what I do. And I think that's what keeps things fun. And there's really so much components with a vehicle that you don't really get bored. So one day, and it definitely helps working in fleet. Working in a fleet, I guess it works for the dealer as well, but more for fleet. One day you could be troubleshooting something with steering or suspension. You know, you got some weird clunky noise and you're trying to figure it out, or you get tire wear a certain way and you want to find out why the tire is wearing that way. And, you know, the next day you may get something excessive blow-by or loss of power, something like that. So every day is different. You're always learning. You may be strong in one suit, such as engines and drivetrain, but you're horrible in steering and suspension. And I think that would be me. Fix this lighting here. I can get that flash or whatever it is. But yeah, like I was saying, some people are good in one suit and not in another. That's not something to be ashamed of. I think that's just more motivation to learn something that you're not so strong in. It helps. Let's see, I got something around here. Let me look real quick. All right, so I have tons of this stuff laying around. This is a training class I went to for Allison hybrid transmissions. And if you feel like you're lacking in something, I can't fucking talk. Crack open the reading material, the references they give you. This is a service manual. It's a great thing to go through and read and study and get to know how things work and what to check. And a lot of these service manuals will have a section in it where it tells you troubleshooting. Let's say, for instance, I'm not going to go through this because I can't talk and multitask at the same time. I'm pretty horrible at that, but go back to something simple, vehicles excessively smoking. Well, you go through the service manual, it'll usually tell you, what color is the smoke? Is it white? Is it blue? Black? And give you the steps and what to look for in that case. That's how you learn. It's fun. I think it's fun. Just learning, and you store that knowledge in your head, and the next time something rolls through the shop doors and it happens to have that, you kind of know where to generally check and start your troubleshooting process. So yeah, I'm at the phase right now in my career where finding out why something failed and figuring it out is the fun part. The working part could be stressful sometimes. You get some vehicles that are more pain in the ass to work on than others. Once again, fleet does help. When you work on the same thing over and over again, you learn certain tricks and shortcuts on ways you could, get to this part quicker by removing this part or bypassing a part to get to something. And that also kind of makes it fun. Just things like that. I think you can never say it gets boring because things are always changing. And some people may say, oh, you work on fleet, you work on the same vehicles over and over again. Like, doesn't that get boring? When you go for a long period of time where you have no failures or you're kind of just doing general maintenance, nothing major comes up, yeah, it gets kind of boring sometimes. But that's the time where you really observe while you're doing your general maintenance, kind of just browse around the engine, look around, and think like, okay, what if this were to fail? How would I get to that part? Or how would I fix that part? While you're under there doing an oil change or whatever. Just kind of keep your mind going and think about things. That's what I do. That's what helps me. Sometimes you're physically tired and you don't really want to do the work, but I think it's better to do the work than let it go. Some people like to, turn around. I didn't see that. I'm not really going to write that down because they don't want to do the work. I've always kind of been the opposite. It's like, hey, if that's something I could fix and I've never done it before, let's try it out. Let's see how to do it. And keeps you on your toes. So, all right, so tools, everybody's favorite subject, some people's least favorite subject, but tools definitely are a game changer. You've done something 100 times a certain way with a certain tool, and then you come across this YouTuber or another technician in the shop or friend or whatever, and they're doing it with this tool. And you're just like, wow, I could really cut back on my time on this repair if I were to use that tool. Like, that's what makes things exciting about buying tools. And similar to education, it never really ends. They're constantly improving on things, coming out with different designs, campaigns, and you learn something new about the vehicle, learn how to do it faster, or troubleshoot something. Same with tools. You come across a tool and it's just going to make your life a lot easier or make the troubleshooting process a lot quicker. So education never ends and buying tools never ends. There's always going to be something that changes something, and you're going to be buying something else or learning something else. So something I thought I would share with you guys today. Don't want to make this too long. Pretty much wrap it up. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on how long you've been in the career and what things you like, what things you don't like, and what your thoughts are in a response to my video. So let me know in the comments or social media on Instagram. You guys know where to find me. I'm always up for debate, always up for talking about things. Also sharing things. I don't like to withhold information. I think what I know that could help somebody, I would like to help them and not keep it to myself. So, like I said, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments. I look forward to hearing you guys' response.